Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 286. It is Sunday, March 17th as we record. I'm David Lott. Joining me this episode is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up?
And Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, guys? Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Happy St. Paddy's Day. Anybody go out there and do any drinking?
No.
No?
Nope. I'm here with you guys.
Anybody wearing green?
I was wearing green. I had my very funny shirt. At least I think it's funny. My shirt, it says, I'm a leprechaun. And then in parentheses, it says, I was adopted. That's my favorite St. Paddy's Day shirt.
Nice.
That shirt.
Anybody that knows what you look like, just the idea of you saying that you're a leprechaun in and of itself is just funny.
Yeah, it is. Forgive me for the phrase, but it's a gas. You know, like it does get quite a few comments and jokes, and it actually gets me quite a few free shots too. And it got me a free shot this afternoon. So yeah, definitely keep that shirt on deck because it works very well in my favorite.
Nice. Yeah, I am not wearing any green, not even a little bit. Like, I was putting the kids in the car this morning. We went to Universal for most of the day. And it was like, as I was getting ready to drive out of the driveways, when it clicked, I'm like, oh yeah, it's St. Paddy's Day. And like, not I or neither of my kids are wearing any green whatsoever. Screw it, it's too late now. I'm not changing.
And we've gone too far. It's done.
Yeah. No, I'm not getting back in the house, changing clothes. No. We're gone. We're out of here. What's new? It's St. Paddy's Day weekend.
Let's just get the big one right out the gate. What did everybody think of Endgame trailer?
Actually, me and David actually kind of discussed it, right?
Well, yeah, we talked about it on Instagram Live a little bit, but we haven't talked about it on here.
Oh, that's right, you did. You did. I did see it on Instagram Live. So
that's true. Yeah, we didn't talk about it here. So I'll just say for my part that I thought it fit in real good with what they've been doing so far. They've been giving us little nuggets of stuff, but really not telling us anything. And that's how I really prefer it going into it. Just want such a pure experience to go down, or when I go to the theater, to sit down and watch this and just know almost next to nothing going into it. There's obviously little things you can kind of piece together in your mind, but for the most part, there's still so many unknowns that I think the trailers and the marketing has just been so good and brilliant with what they've been doing, especially with this latest one, how it just came out and they show Captain Marvel in that trailer. And then this is the second week of Captain Marvel, how that can just help boost that second weekend, knowing that people who maybe were on the fence about seeing Captain Marvel see her in that little teaser, or that trailer or whatever, are like, oh, she's in this too, so maybe I should go see Captain Marvel. So kudos to them for everything that they're doing with this Endgame and marketing it just right, so where you don't feel like you're seeing too much before you go see the actual film.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more there, Bobby. I mean, the movie it was just solid. I mean, the trailer was just solid. It gives you everything but nothing. And I've said that before about some of their trailers, and the fact that nothing outside of the first 15 to 20 minutes is actually, everything that's in the trailer is only 15 to 20 minutes. And the movie gives just like, what in the world is going on type of situation and that kind of feel. And I love the flashbacks and I love the throwbacks. I mean, it's like, it really just legitimately is the first 45 seconds of just recaps from like the old movies almost, and just some dubbing over. And it's fantastic. I can't wait. Looks really good.
I will be the third to agree. Like, yeah, I like that it doesn't show too much. It's because I was even wary about, should I watch it? And then just based off of your reaction, Bobby, to me saying that, I was like, all right, well, if Bobby seems like safe with it, okay, fine, I'll watch it. I feel like you're, Bobby, maybe a little more particular about that kind of thing than I am. like about like watching stuff, because I feel like there's been more instances where you've held back from seeing things as opposed to me. So I was like, all right, if Bobby's watching it, fine, I'll watch it. And yeah, I mean, I don't regret watching it. It doesn't show much more, but I think it's still a good watch, and I definitely like the end of that trailer with the Captain Marvel kind of appearance in the trailer is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's solid. It just gives you an idea of like how they're, at least me, her interaction with Thor and everybody, and it's exciting. It's exciting. I know I was having a conversation with Shannon this morning about the movie, and I told her, I was like, yeah, it's supposed to be like 3 hours long, and she's just like, oh my god, that sounds tedious. And I'm already prefacing it and giving her a heads up. I was like, look, I'm gonna go see this movie on Saturday. I'm gonna go see it with my friends. I'm gonna ask Bobby Jackson if he wants to go see it on Sunday. I'm pretty sure he's gonna say yes. I'm going to see it twice this weekend. So there are 6 hours out of this weekend that you're going to have to expect to basically not have me around, because I'm going to go do this. This is what's happening. And she's like, what if the movie's bad? And I looked at her and I said, it's not going to be bad. And she's just like, but what if it is? And I'm like, but it's not going to be. I mean, the Russo brothers have done so much with the past 3 Marvel movies when it comes to all these characters interacting with each other. I can't fathom a world in where they messed this culmination of everything that we've been building towards. I don't see how they would mess this up. And she's just like, but what if? I was like, okay, well, devil's advocate, I don't think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be fantastic. So there's really no reason to even venture down that path. So let's just move on to something else.
Right. Like, stop.
Yeah.
I could actually answer that what if, because let's say it is bad. I saw Phantom Menace 9 times in the theater.
Oh my god!
All right, wait. Oh. To be fair, let's let people know you were working at the theater at the time Phantom Menace came out. Isn't that right?
No,
you weren't.
I wasn't. No.
Are you sure?
This is before. Oh yeah, this is like way before that time. Because Phantom Menace was out in 2001 or so, something like that, or no, 99. I want to say 99, 98. So. Yeah, I wasn't working at the theater at the time. It was just that, hey, we had new Star Wars. And so I, like myself, like many others, were so convinced that the movie was good that you just ended up seeing it so many times, because this was the first Star Wars we'd had in however many years. And knowing that this was the start of a new trilogy, it was just like, it was a special thing. So I just ended up remember seeing it so many times. And then one of my buddies, I think he saw it a couple more times more than me. I think he got up to like, maybe 10 or 11 times that he saw it. So yeah, if Infinity War, if Endgame is bad, I will still have probably seen it a few times in the theater, just because of the sake or the fact that I'm gonna see that movie regardless.
I guess I'll take the middle road between where I'll say I also agree it's not going to be bad, but if it were, I could see like at least seeing it a second time, because I probably went through a 24-hour like remorse period of like, I can't believe I just saw a bad movie. Like, it can't be. I got to go see this one more time. Maybe I was crazy. Like, I would see it at least once more to just confirm I wasn't nuts the first time I saw it.
Like, what did I miss type of thing? Like,
right.
What was it about that I didn't like that I thought the movie was bad?
Or at least just like the chance to analyze it, like to sit there and go, okay, all right, yep, indeed it's bad, and this is really why. Like, I'm not crazy. I would at least have to see it twice.
But just Anthony Russo and Joe Russo have done such a fantastic job with these characters and the progression of these characters and their abilities and the storyline and the interaction and the mixture of humor and sadness and, just making them an all-out fun movie. Like, I can't imagine like they just stroke out all of a sudden and just like, you know what? Why don't we throw Aquaman in there? And it's like, but he's a DC character. He's like, well, he's doing really well right now. Let's just put him in there. I don't care what happens. Like, I can't see them making some sort of just rash decision where they're just like, what we should do? We should kill Iron Man and right off the bat. Like, wait, what? Like, it's like, why would we do that? Like, I don't see it happening.
We should have Captain America like turn on everyone and
Yeah, Captain America. Well, that happened in the comic book, didn't it, Bobby? Isn't there a storyline where they actually had Captain America as a Hydra agent like the entire time, or
Yeah.
something to that
Yeah.
effect? Yeah. It was like have him just all of a sudden. You know how many people would be just fucking furious if that happened? Like, like I mean, they would be. This movie would just get destroyed in like reviews if they did something like that. But in the comic books, you could do something like that, and there's so many different worlds and stuff like that. But this is the MCU. This is the storyline and everything that we've gone and we based on. And 3 hours is a very long time to tell a very very detailed story with a lot that's going on. Like there is so much that needs to happen in this next movie. So it's like I'm just excited and I can't wait.
So has there indeed been like some type of like backlash to the new poster, or am I? I thought I saw some rumblings about that like on the internet somewhere.
You know what you did? The thing is that they were, and I'm sure Bobby can echo some of this, and we can, both address some of this. Everybody was really upset because the headliners, all their names were on there. The only person's that name wasn't on there was, help me out, it was Denai. What was it, Bobby? What's her full name? Denai what?
Denai Guerrero.
Denai Guerrero, who plays the main character or the number one for Black Panther's character, Chadwick Boseman's character. She plays Okoye in the movie. Now she's on the poster, and everybody freaked out because she wasn't on there, but everybody else's name was headlined on their poster. And I got in this discussion with a buddy of mine at work, and he's like, "Well, how do you feel about this?" And I was just like, honestly, I don't really have a problem with it per se. And he's like, "Well, why not?" And I'm just like, this isn't about race. This was about money. And they're like, what do you mean? He's like, I was like, let's look at the characters that they put on there and all their headliners that they put on there. All of the people that they put on there for the headlining act that in this movie that are above the title, they're all people that have won either had their own movie or a show or been and nominated and won an Academy Award. She is a star in her own right. But if somebody, until just recently with all this controversy, if I were to hear or see if they were like, what's her name? I would look at it and be like, Michonne? No, dumbass. That's her character's name from Walking Dead. What's her name? And I'm like, I don't know. I would not be able to get it. And maybe that's saying something about me. If I don't know her name, I mean, people would recognize her, and I'm not trying to take anything away from her talent or anything like that. But this wasn't necessarily about, in my opinion, race. This was about money. When people's names go above the title, that's negotiated in the contract. That's one of the first things that they talk about is like, where's your name going to be positioned above there and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I just don't feel like she's big enough of a star to maybe warrant that. And maybe she felt that way too, because it wasn't there. And if it wasn't negotiated into her contract, then there shouldn't be an issue. If she didn't see an issue with it, nobody else should really see an issue with it as well. But look at the characters that they all have, all these people that they have on the billboard, and all of them, and when it comes to their names, every single person on that picture, except for her, has basically had their own show, their own movie, starred in something by themselves, and carried something. Even down to Tom Holland. Like it's like, how are you mad at this when this person, she is a star in her own right and has been a playwright for plays and theater and stuff? Fine. But the fact is, she's not a headliner. She's not the draw. Chris Evans is, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner even. He's had his own movie. Paul Rudd. All of these people have had their own movies, their own stars and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't understand why everybody got so bent out of shape for that. What do you think, Bobby?
I think the reason why everyone got bent out of shape is because they just see that it's missing and don't know the behind the scene aspects of why it's missing. And so everyone likes to, see something and get enraged about it instantly without taking a moment to see if there's a reason for something, and it's just so easy to lash out. So people just wanted to just raise a fuss without really kind of doing their homework. And that's essentially what happened. I mean, it blew up pretty quickly, but within the same day, if not hours later, Marvel fixed it, and it said, they sent out a tweet, said it should have been there in the first place, sort of thing. So we don't know if someone at the print shop messed up and left it out by accident, and because it was in her contract, but we don't know. So essentially, it was, it died pretty quickly, as quickly as it began. So I just didn't pay it too much mind because, as you said, if she was left off, it was because, to me, I thought maybe that she just wasn't there because of a reasoning behind a lot of other characters weren't there. Even though she was on the poster, she may not have been listed on the credits because of any other reasons. And I typically don't look at the names because I know who the actors are just by seeing them visually. Other people may not. But like you said, even in that sense where someone's looking at this poster and seeing names, are they really going to associate Danai Gurira's name with who Okoye is, or are they just looking at names? So most people aren't paying attention to that. They're just looking at the people on the poster, which to me, honestly, I've never been a huge fan of comic book movie posters for the sake of for the fact that they always show the actors, and I want to see the characters. So if you look at that poster, you see everybody's face. No one's covered up. You don't see Iron Man covered up. You don't see Captain America covered up. Everybody's just showing their faces. So to me, it's just like, whatever. I mean, I didn't get much from the poster in general just because of that. But yeah, it was just a big stink, and it got resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah, Marvel did attack it pretty aggressively. And I think it was within hours, honestly. I don't think it was even with days. It's like, I remember saying, it's like, no sooner did my buddy show, he's like, oh, they just sent out a tweet, apologizing and saying that it should have been there the whole time. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, it's like that aggressive. Like, but, they went into damage control fairly quickly to make sure that this wasn't like go into the explanation as to like why she wasn't put on there or whatever the case may be. Look, it's not in her contract and all this other stuff. They just said, screw it, put her name on the poster and reissue it and say it was a mistake. And just let's move on.
All right. Well, thanks for clearing that up. Because, yeah, all I had seen was like just a random blurb about like a backlash. And then I never really got a chance to dig into, okay, so what's going on here? So I hadn't heard any of that. And I don't know. It's interesting. It's like listening to your explanation, Yasha, I completely get what you're saying. Like, I know how that works as well with, contracts and such. But at the same time, I had seen it, but I hadn't really looked at it. And right now I am really looking at it. But listening to your explanation and everything, part of me is like, oh, I could see too in that case of where there's also just sometimes posters like this show all the characters, but then obviously, I guess, I don't know if it's character importance or, obviously, or actor contract or whatever, but certain characters are bigger than others, and then you'll have even like really small random characters at the bottom, or just sketches of troopers in the background of whatever movie you're watching. But I will say, in the case of looking at this poster and then having all those names on top, I mean, it's like there isn't really a lot of any like really small characters. It's really just like all the main characters, and she is included there pretty prominently. And I mean, I could see it both ways. Like, part of me is like, I didn't see the poster before her name was added to it, so I don't know, I probably wouldn't have cared. But I guess I can also kind of see why people be like, wait a second, like, everyone here on this poster is listed except for her. Like, why is she featured so prominently? I don't know. I could see it both ways.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, not to take away from my explanation, is like, I can absolutely see it both ways too, because you're right. Every single person is listed on this poster is listed, and she was the only one that wasn't. And you're just kind of like, what, but why? Type of thing. But it's like, and that's where my logic kicks in. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's not in her contract for it to be up there.
No, yeah.
But at the same time, you do acknowledge and you do recognize that, hey, this person should, she should be included just because she is on the poster, right here. So, but it is what it is, and they fixed it right away. Like I said, they went into damage control pretty quickly. And
it's more like on the flip side of like what you're saying, like if indeed with her contract, if her name wasn't really intended to be there because of contract reasons, it seems like an odd choice to include her in the image,
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, I'm not saying she shouldn't be there, to be clear, but anyway, I don't know. Anyway. So I was just kind of curious about that. So yeah, I think we all agree the trailer looked good. What else has everyone been watching this week?
Well, I have on episode 10 of You, the Netflix show about a stalker and his wonderful girlfriend. It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty over the top. Yet I find myself strangely attracted to it, and I need to finish it. Like, it's just like, this is not great, but it is what it is, and I'm going to keep watching, period. So it's interesting writing, basically, is what it comes down to, and I'm kind of digging that. So, and I finished The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel this past weekend, and that's pretty much all I've been watching. And it was good. It's fantastic. I can't wait for season 3. God, I hope it comes out soon.
Nice. You, Bobby, you been watching a lot of things this week. I know it was a quieter weekend at the theaters, I believe, other than Captain Marvel and its second weekend.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't too much. I did watch one movie that came out, though, that was new for this week, which was Captive State. And I don't know if you guys had seen the commercials for it, but it's I think it was produced or some form of nature with Rupert Wyatt, and it has John Goodman and Ashton Sanders, who was in Moonlight. He was one of the teenage persona of the main character in Moonlight, and Vera Farmiga is also in it. And the story is about these aliens who have occupied Earth for about 10 years, and there's been a buildup of a revolution that is trying to start and take place to where they reclaim the planet. And what I'll say about this movie is, if you go in expecting an action movie, it's definitely not that. This is more of a uprising type of a film where there's small and slow pacing in terms of build-up and trying to get things started. It's not a quick pace type film at all. But I did find myself enjoying it just because it was different. It sort of has a District 9 feel to it and aesthetic, but without like a lot of that action. It really is more of a sort of a guerrilla style, kind of like you're finding out who the players are in this and how they can go about trying to upend this alien presence. And you don't really see the aliens all that much. Every now and then you see them, but yeah, it's just a different style movie, and I found myself enjoying it. But I would absolutely say you have to go in there with that knowledge that this is not going to be an action movie.
And what was it called again?
Captive State.
Captive State. All right.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailers for that, and there's another one that just came out on another movie that just came out on Netflix. I'm sure you know what it is. I'm talking about Ben Affleck's movie Triple
Frontier.
Triple Frontier, yeah. I started watching that.
I started Triple Frontier as well, and it wasn't because I was bored that I haven't finished it. I just haven't had a chance to finish it. But
yeah, it actually reminds me of a movie that I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. It reminds me of Three Kings, that was done with Ice Cube, George Clooney, and I think it was Mark Wahlberg years ago.
Yep.
Do you remember that movie, guys?
I do. Actually, that's one of those movies. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I remember being like really pleasantly surprised by Three Kings. I was like going into it expecting, I don't know, almost like direct to DVD kind of fare, I think.
Yeah, I hated Three Kings. I thought it was terrible. I did not.
Oh, really?
At all. Did not enjoy that movie at all.
No, I really
and maybe I'll
liked
need to revisit it, but like, I remember watching it and thinking it was absolutely just fucking terrible. Like, I did not like that movie. Like, I just didn't. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But it reminds me of kind of that story so far. I've only gotten through about maybe 30 or 40 minutes of it, and I haven't finished it. Not because I wasn't into it. I just got distracted and I had to take off and run some errands. So it's like, but I'll plan on finishing it today or tomorrow.
I actually did get a chance to watch it and finish it, and I will say that this is the type of movie to me where it's all about star power just because the story itself, I would say it's not something that you haven't seen before or sort of this combination of different things mixed into a pot that it still kind of feels very familiar to you. But what I think this movie has over a lot of things is just the star power, the cast, because you've got so many people you've seen recently and stuff. You know, Pedro Pascal, you got Ben Affleck, Garrett Hedlund. Who else is in there?
Say Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaacs. Yeah, I know I'm forgetting someone, but just knowing that you have these caliber of actors, I felt like when I was watching the movie that I already was instantly invested in their characters and how everything would go down because I know these actors and they're familiar to me. So them playing these roles, and for anyone out there who doesn't know the story of it, it's about these guys who were in the military together. And one of them who has gone on to become like a police officer in Mexico, I believe, is trying to take down a drug lord. And in doing so, he tries to enlist his former former people within that were in the military with him, to essentially take down this guy, but not just take down this guy, but that this guy has a ton of money. So it's something in it for them. So it's kind of like getting the band back together one last time to have this final score kind of thing and to really reap the benefits of, you know, a system that they paid their debt to society, and not in a way in terms of prison, but like you enlisted in the military, you've done your service, and yet you come out of it sort of a little bit disenfranchised, or you don't feel as though you've sort of come about it or come out of it with anything to show. And so this enticing aspect of like, well, maybe this could set us up for the rest of our lives is a tempting thing. So it's about their story in terms of how do they pull this thing off. And yeah, like I said, you really get invested, I think, because of who's in it and wanting to see what happens. And I enjoyed it for sure. And it felt like a movie that, even though it's on Netflix, it's something that had this been in the theater, I would have went to go see it in the theater if I had just saw a trailer for it, seeing everyone that's in this movie. Because with those actors all together in this, it just makes for a tempting thing to go say, this seems like something that I would like to go see in the theater.
Watch anything else?
No, that's all I've seen. Really.
Wow, that's all you've seen.
Well, not much
week
else
for you.
out, honestly. It's only because there's not anything else out. If there had been more out, I think I probably would have seen more for sure. But yeah, there's just that and Captive State.
Yeah, I didn't make it to a theater. It was a quiet weekend at the movie theater. I didn't make it to the movie theater at all. I've actually been watching leading up to this weekend's opening weekend for the Formula One season. I've been watching Formula One Drive to Survive on Netflix, which I think
haven't heard of that.
It released a little over a week ago. It's a 10-part documentary series that Netflix commissioned to do that basically followed last season's Formula One season. And I don't know, a little background. I've recently, in the past 2 or 3 seasons, been kind of slowly watching more and more Formula One, and I've actually gotten pretty interested in it. As someone who has never been interested in like race car, as car racing as a sport, I have never been interested in NASCAR, not even slightly. Like, it's just never done anything for me. But I don't know, I've recently kind of shown an interest in Formula One, and I've actually been watching it quite a bit. Like last season, I actually watched almost every race. And once I saw that this documentary series was coming out, I was really interested in it. It's been excellent so far, especially as someone who has been following Formula One, but there's still more I'm kind of like learning about it. this was like perfect. So if I would say for anyone who has like someone interested in it and maybe kind of want to know more about Formula One, and also say even for like diehard fans of Formula One, it's a series that seems to kind of go deep into last season and probably introduces you to maybe some drama and stuff that you really didn't experience just watching the regular, race broadcasts. So I don't know. I highly recommend it. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm about halfway through the 10 episodes right now. So I was going to try to finish it before the first race this weekend, but that didn't happen. But I'm going to keep watching it and finish that up.
I'd never heard of a thing like that, but it's kind of interesting. Good that you kind of sort of found your way to it.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about it. I don't know where. Like a couple months back that it was coming. And then, as Netflix does, where as soon as something drops, at least sometimes it does this, where it features something as you go into the app. Indeed, that popped up the other day and I was like, oh, that's right. Holy shit, I have to watch this. And yeah, I've been watching it. It's good. The only other thing I've watched, and I've only seen the first 2 episodes so far, but I actually watched the first 2 episodes of Shrill over on Hulu. You guys heard of this show?
What show?
You guys, I'm watching things no one's heard of.
What is the name of the show?
Shrill.
No, man. I mean, I'd seen the advertisement for the indie track or whatever. I saw that on Netflix, but I didn't watch it. But now that you said it's good, I might give it a shot.
So Shrill over on Netflix is based, I guess, on a novel, is my understanding. It stars, and I think I'm getting her first name right. Is it Aidy Bryant from SNL?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of her, actually.
I'm sure you'd recognize her if you saw her. But so the book, I guess the novel and the show is about, like if you just read the IMDb quick description, it's one sentence. It's a woman seeks out ways to change her life without changing her body. And I mean, the show centers around this character who is an overweight person who this show seems to be kind of telling the story of someone who, yeah, she's overweight, but she's not like we see a lot of times in movies and television where maybe a major character in a film or a TV show who's overweight, a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm overweight, but I hate that I'm this way. I want to change. I want to be thinner and healthier. And she's living a life where she's not trying to change her body, and she's just trying to live her life happier, And watching the first 2 episodes, I mean, it's really good. They're 30-minute episodes, which for me is right up my alley, where trying not to pick up any more 1-hour shows that I can't get through. But I was interested in this because, I don't know, a lot of times when I'm driving around, if I'm not listening to podcasts, a lot of times I'm listening to NPR. And the day before this dropped, because it dropped this past Friday, I heard a segment about it on not only Morning Edition, but also on All Things Considered. And I was like, all right, so this is apparently a thing. I've already heard this about the show twice today on NPR. And actually I ended up being kind of annoyed at that because I think it was kind of a combination of both segments. And then the second segment, it was actually, I think, partly an interview with the author. But within both segments, they kind of kept talking about random scenes from the show. And then as I watched the first 30-minute episode, I found that I feel like now I'm realizing I've had almost this entire first episode described to me via the 2 segments I heard on NPR. As the scene was coming up, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the boyfriend that does this. And oh yeah, this is the moment where she tries to get the morning after pill and blah, blah, blah. And oh yeah, this is the moment with the boss and this happens. Oh, that's kind of annoying. I kind of hate that I've already, in a way, kind of experienced this episode. But with that said, it was good. And yeah, it's on Hulu. I don't know how many episodes it is, but like I said, they're 30-minute episodes. So if you're looking for something that's a little quicker to digest, this might be up your alley. And I've always liked Aidy Bryant on SNL. And so far, seeing her in this, she's great in it. It's great casting. So yeah, I might keep up with it. And then actually looking at this, it looks like it's only 6 episodes. So not too bad. Anyway.
Speaking of keeping up with stuff, did you keep up with Deadly Class?
No, I still intend on doing that as well. Because I've also still been doing the little Game of Thrones marathon.
Game
I've
of
been
Thrones.
doing.
Yeah, I figure.
And I'm behind on that, so I'm like trying to play catch up this weekend. I've been like watching. I think I watched like 3 episodes yesterday of that, and I've watched about 1 today.
Well, speaking of Game of Thrones, how upset or were you upset at the runtime for the episodes that we have coming up?
So I'm guessing you're saying how upset was I because they're not all like 2-hour episodes? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, yeah, it's funny because I feel like all we've been hearing is like, oh, this last season, every episode is going to be like a movie. And then sure enough, the runtimes come out and it's like the first 3 episodes are like, feel like typical runtime. So the first episode at 54 minutes, the second episode is at 58 minutes. But I mean, I guess with the third episode, it already jumps up. Third episode, 1 hour and 22 minutes. The fourth episode, 1 hour and 18 minutes. Fifth episode, yeah, I don't even have the fifth episode. The last episode will be 1 hour and 20 minutes.
I think it was a little bit longer, but yeah, maybe around the same length.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I guess my first reaction when I first saw them, I was a little like when I saw those first 2 episodes, how they were under 1 hour. I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were being promised like this epic, insanely huge, like, you know, like I said, like 2-hour episodes every episode kind of season. But at the same time, I'm like, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. Does it bother you?
No. And even when I first heard it, it didn't really bother me. It was weird just because it seemed like, and I never thought anyone particular promised us it. It's just that it seemed like someone from HBO had said like, oh, these last episodes are like a movie, you know, or like they're long, super long. And so, yeah, I guess the idea in my head was like, you're getting 90 minutes to 2 hours in terms of the last episodes. But I guess I never held true to it. And so it didn't bother me when the runtimes were released. In fact, it just, to me, it was like, well, they're telling the story within the amount of time they feel they need to tell it. So if the first episode only needed to be an hour, then that's all it needed. I don't see why they would make it longer just to fill the time unless they needed the time. So I never got really bothered by the fact that the runtime was in the first 2 episodes shorter than anything less than, you know, 1 hour and 90 minutes or something like that. So or not 1 hour and 90 minutes, but 90 minutes. So yeah, it didn't really faze me.
And yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking actually before we got started tonight that I was like, oh wow, we're gonna have to like maybe figure out how we're altering our recording schedule once the season starts. Because I mean, for me, this has always been the show that I definitely at least always watch that night, if not like as it airs. But I feel like with this last season, I'm like, I really want to watch these like as they air. And basically, we record usually like right now. It'd be airing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to work on that. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, figure something out.
Especially now we know the very last episode ever of Game of Thrones, the series finale, is on May 19th. So that's like a holiday for me at this point. Like
May 19th, really? Like
Yeah.
that seems like, the new season starts April, right?
Yeah, starts April 14th.
Wow, that's really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's only 6 episodes, right? Yeah.
Yep. 6 episodes and that's it. But I don't know. To me, I've seen people saying where they're sad or upset that it's ending, and I'm actually happy that it's ending just from the standpoint of, you know, I think this has been told in the right amount of time that it needed to be told in, and to go further, even though we know like it's already sort of done its own thing from the books, but to go further, it feels like they would just be stretching it for the sake of stretching it. and I like for them to be able to end with them going out on top, essentially, as opposed to just kind of going on a going on a decline, as it would have continued season per season. So to me, this is the exact right time for it to end. And as it is, I'm already, knowing that it's ending, it makes it harder to watch these last 6 episodes, because then it's like, well, how many? I have the feeling like every character that I like is going to die, and all the characters that I don't like are going to live. So I'm like already, dreading that aspect, just to see how this outcome is. So yeah, for me, I'm ready for it to reach its conclusion.
I agree with you. Like I'm totally fine with it ending now. I mean, I love the show, and I'm rewatching it, as I just said, and I'm loving that I'm rewatching it. And yeah, but I think I'm good with it being over. In fact, the thing I fear about it, because we live in this kind of, I feel like this world now where anything we watch now, it always ends with a way to lead into the next thing. It's always about like what's going to be after this, like nothing ever really ends anymore in a way,
Yeah.
And it will bum me out if, like, when this series ends, if it kind of ends that way with like some type of cliffhanger teasing more of this. And I'm like, I don't want it to do that. Like, I just want this to like end, truly end. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying and like kill everybody in Westeros and it's all over, but like obviously these people, some people will be living on in this, but like just the story is over for us. Like,
you don't want the Sopranos ending, where it just stops, and there's like this lead in, like, oh, will they ever do anything to like resolve this? No, the answer is no. No, they won't ever do anything, or they'll wait so long that people actually, forgive me, start dying, and we don't ever get any type of resolution, and it just leaves this big vacant hole in your heart for the rest of all of eternity.
Right. Or, yeah, we'll get this ending, and it's obviously complete speculation because nobody knows how this is going to end. But, like, oh, like Daenerys truly does take over or something. But then it, like, teases, like, okay, this is the next guy who's going to try to overthrow her or something. Like, I just don't want that. Like, just end and make it great and make it. That's it.
See, the funny thing is, it's like you guys are both really excited, and I'm just, I guess it's been so long for me, I don't have that excitement yet. Like, I just don't. Like, I almost got like an attitude when I found out that they were delaying it for a year because weather wasn't right for the show and starting and everything like that. And I'm just like, guys, really? Like, and I felt like so much of it was just, let's build this up as much as we possibly can to, grab as many viewers as we can, and hold on to that and, get people to watch it on reruns and HBO Go and all this other stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm interested in seeing it, but I'm not nearly as excited as you are, David.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pumped. Like I said, especially considering I'm rewatching it now, and now I'm in episodes of the show that I definitely have not seen like as much as I've seen like those first 2 or 3 seasons. And I think I talked about this on here before, where I know like at least seasons 1 and 2, I don't know how many times I've seen. It's not like a ton, but I've rewatched them at least a couple times before. But now I'm in episodes where I'm like, shit, this might be only the second time I've seen these now. Like, and it's nice because it's stuff that I'm like, oh wow, I really don't remember. I remember it now that I'm seeing it, but I'd forgotten kind of thing. And it's fun to rewatch. And of course, now I'm just in Game of Thrones like mode right now. So I'm pumped. I can't wait.
See, I'm more excited for Endgame. That has consumed me. I've watched, I don't know, Infinity War, I don't know how many times. Watched Thor Ragnarok earlier today for background noise as we were talking, David. Was at the checkout stand when I was running errands. Time Magazine has a whole issue just dedicated to the Marvel Universe. Bought that. So it's just like everything is like Marvel at this point. Shannon was just kind of like, really? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, what is in that magazine that you don't already know? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. It's just like, it's that, like, I'm all in. Like, and it's actually really cool because they have the timelines and everything, like, completely. They talk about Steve Ditko. They talk about, like, all of them, like the people that we know about, but not everybody addresses. And it's just like, it's so far, the magazine's really kind of a solid read. So if you guys are interested in just, kind of rereading some of the stuff that you probably already know and just maybe for fun, by all means, go and grab it.
Nice. It's still, I don't know why you mentioning that made me think of this. It's still funny today. Like I mentioned before, I took the kids to Universal today. And in one of the parks here, Islands of Adventure, there's a Marvel land. And it's still funny to me. I mean, for most people, that aren't like us, that know everything about who owns what, they don't even think about the fact that like, oh, it's weird that there's a Marvel land here when this is a Universal park. It's not a Disney park. And I know the backstory behind the whole reason for it. I get it, but it's still funny, like walking through the park, and obviously their Marvel Land is more centered, obviously completely centered on like the actual comic characters. Like all the imagery is comics. It's not like the movies at all. But still, it's funny. Like you walk by and there's a merchandise window that's there going out of their way to promote Captain Marvel stuff. And you even go out into the City Walk area and they've got Funko Pop stands that are just all Marvel Funko Pops from the movies and everything. I'm like, it's so funny that this is still the situation, that this isn't a Disney park and Marvel is still like a thing here. I mean, I get why. I know the story, but it's just funny. Anyway, so anything else going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, while we're on the subject of Disney, two things really. This Wednesday is the date that the Fox and Disney deal closes. So it should be interesting to see what we will start hearing. I guess maybe, who knows, maybe something at WonderCon possibly, or, obviously by Comic-Con. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, because we don't know that Marvel will be there, but I would hope and suspect that they would be. But with them having D23 this year, maybe they'll save it for that. But, yeah, just it's exciting from the standpoint of seeing what Marvel will do once this Fox deal closes and to hear what they're going to be doing. Along those lines, they had mentioned, I think this past week, that on their Disney Plus service, that there will be a Marvel's What If cartoon version of the comic books, that if you collected comic books for any amount of time, the what if stories, and it's all these different imaginings of different stories that have taken place, but with a slight twist. Like, what if Wolverine had never got adamantium, or the
one that sticks out in my head is, what if Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires? Do you remember that?
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, that's an actual story where Wolverine actually takes on and defeats Dracula, but he gets bitten in the process, and he basically turns the entire Marvel universe into vampires.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that, and it's just there. It ran for many, many, many years, and then it didn't, and then it came back again. So it's had different iterations, but one of the things that I heard that seems interesting about it is that they mentioned that they would do stories that could be related to what we've seen in the movies, and doing what if versions of that stuff, and having the actors from the movies do their voice acting for the cartoons, for the animation. So I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So you could see something. I think they actually did say on Slash Film, one of the stories that they know of, or have heard at least, is what if Loki was able to wield Mjolnir? And so it'd be like, oh, okay, that'd be interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and it's just adding more stuff and more reasons to want to get that streaming service, as if I wasn't already. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And even with Apple, I'm interested with what they're going to announce for their streaming service tomorrow, and price wise, and what else will be on their streaming service, because obviously these things are becoming bigger and bigger, and we'll see like if some of them will start to combine to try and offer discounts for more people to kind of come to their service. But the sort of the other last little bit of tidbit of Disney Marvel news was that apparently miracles do happen, and Marvel / Disney has decided to welcome James Gunn back into the family. So he will be directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And no one really thought this could be something that would happen just because usually Disney doesn't change their stance once they've done something or go back on something. So them to be able to welcome him back is pretty telling, you know. And from things that I've read online, they've mentioned that this had actually gone down back in November, December, but they had just been sort of laying low and waiting for other things to kind of settle before they wanted to come out and make that announcement.
That's pretty cool.
No, it's awesome. I don't know. It's funny. Like, so like Bobby, are you like completely like shocked by the news, or what was your first reaction when you saw it?
Well, yeah, I was definitely shocked because, like I said, I can't think of any time in recent memory that Disney has done something so publicly and then gone back on it so publicly. So to me, it was just kind of one of those things where it seemed like at one point where it seemed like things had happened, and then Kevin Feige and I think maybe Bob Iger were talking to Alan Horn in terms of seeing if there could be some resolution, and then it came down to where nope, we're not going back on it. So to me, it seemed like it was dead. And then you get news months later that James Gunn is now going to be directing the Suicide Squad. So it seemed like he was Team DC, and so I would not have thought that he would have come back, at least not anytime soon. I could have seen a scenario where like maybe in 2 years he comes back, but not now, and not after everything that happened so publicly. So yeah, I definitely was shocked. Were you not, David?
I don't know, like not completely. Like I think actually what I was shocked about was that it actually happened kind of like what you're saying here at the end, like that it happened so fast. I didn't expect it to happen yet, but I expected it honestly to happen. Like, I don't know, just the way it played out, which really truly seemed like just a really poor decision by Disney to so quickly react by firing him, which was insane. And and then it I don't know, especially given the reaction to their firing. I know we all talked about this on here before. It really seemed like Disney had to have been going, God damn it, what did we do? Like, but now we can't just rehire him right now. Like, you know, we just fired the guy. Like, then it's really going to see super reactionary. But the fact is, man, we screwed up. Like, we shouldn't have done this. If anything, part of me at the time, I remember wondering, like, part of me feels like they've already, because, you know, I think there was talk of like Kevin Feige, like, you know, having a meeting with Iger to kind of like really fight for, hey, come on, like, can we really make this work with Gunn? And them finally coming out with the final, no, we are not rehiring him kind of answer. But part of me feels like what happened in that meeting was like, look, you're right, we fucked up. We're going to rehire him, but we just can't do it yet. Like, let's let the story disappear and let people think about other things. And then eventually we'll come back and go, because, you know, at the time they said we're putting Guardians 3 on hold. They weren't like running out to go, hey, this is who we're rehiring right now. Yeah. Like, it felt like to me, they were just like, okay, we got to back off from it for a little bit. Eventually we'll rehire him. But I guess I didn't expect it to be this quick. Maybe another year or more, especially given that, you know, yeah, he's already been hired to do the Suicide Squad sequel, which is still a thing. He's still doing that. So I guess I would have expected them to wait some more time since, I mean, the movie had already been said it was on hold. I guess, I don't know. And yeah, my surprise is more the timing, not so much that he actually got rehired.
I think it's great. I think you're absolutely right, David. I think they had that what did we just do type of moment. And I think it kind of like really probably started to resonate right when the cast wrote a huge public letter and everyone signed it. It's just like, that's not going to look good for publicity, guys. Like, you know, for a company that wants to always seem so squeaky clean and so perfect and so on the side of their stars and, you know, and just want to like make things work. And we just really want to release good product for everybody to enjoy. for that, and then to have that letter written by the stars, just kind of just like, ouch, and so many people being so outspoken, especially Dave Bautista, talking about how he doesn't even want to be doing the movie if it's not going to be under James Gunn's direction.
Right. So anyway, that's where I was with my reaction. That's why I was curious, but.
Yeah, no, I get it, and it makes perfect sense. Like I said, I would have thought it could, if it did happen, it just would have been at a later date and time.
Right.
But yeah, for it to happen so soon, it just is a benefit for us. It's just a matter of at this point where will it land? Because it seems like Disney/Marvel has their hands full with a lot of stuff. Excuse me, that's in active development, and seems like it's gonna sort of come out first. Like Black Widow seems like that might be our next thing post Far From Home, and then I think next after that is possibly like, well, it could be either a Doctor Strange 2, or it could be a Black Panther 2, or it could be Eternals, which is another movie they had been talking about. So it's just a matter of like where would it land? Because he, like you said, David, he is still doing the Suicide Squad. So, I think I heard that they're going to start shooting that later on this year. So that would put Guardians of the Galaxy 3 out quite a bit of time. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that would land.
So speaking of that, where are we right now with like officially like announced MCU films? Like we've got obviously
nowhere
Spider-Man Far From Home after Endgame, but that's really it.
That's not, yeah, we have nothing else on the horizon. That's like when a date is going to be released or anything like that. Nothing really to look forward to next fall, when we always had one in the fall. We always had one in the fall, spring, and then usually in the summer.
Yeah, I don't know that they've officially said anything, honestly. We just know that there's stuff that's in development, and we've heard casting for certain things. And based on the timeline of hearing some of this stuff is why I think a lot of people speculate that Black Widow is the next one to come. I think that one had got pushed. In fact, I think it was supposed to have started shooting, I think either in February, this past February, or this month. But I think it got pushed to June. So if that's the first one that we hear of anyone actually doing any shooting on, it just leads you to believe that would be the first next movie out for them. So, I mean, if that's the case, we don't know. But maybe, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, maybe at Comic-Con San Diego or at their D23, they'll announce a slate. And Kevin Feige has actually said that he doesn't plan on talking about what's next for Marvel until we get Endgame and then we get Far From Home. And then I think they said they would be ready to talk about what's next. But yeah, so and that's not until after July, not after July, but Spider-Man Far From Home comes out in July. So then that's right around the time for San Diego Comic-Con where they could announce another slate of movies. But we'll see. There's another one that's actually in development and picked up a little heat too, because Marvel's Shang-Chi movie had gotten a director attached to it, director Destin Cretton, who had directed Short Term 12, which I'd heard good things about, and I just never got a chance to see. And that one had, the Short Term 12 movie had Brie Larson in it, and Rami Malek as well. And I, from what I understand, it was a well done movie, but I don't know much more about the director than that. But it's kind of interesting that they're continuing to push forward the idea of inclusiveness by having this Asian American director direct this Shang-Chi movie for Marvel. So, excuse me, that's moving a little bit forward as well. So they definitely seem to have things percolating. It's just a matter of when are these going to come out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else, guys?
No, I think that's it. Well, other than the news that I saw just earlier in the week, towards the tail end where they said that they're definitely going forward with the Bumblebee 2 and that Optimus Prime would be in it as well. But not only are they going forward with Bumblebee 2, they're going to do another movie that takes place after The Last Night, which was the last Transformers movie that was featured with all the Transformers. And I just could not understand that decision, especially considering it's been on a downward trajectory for the Transformers series, and a lot of people jumped ship on this last one, The Last Night. I don't understand the decision to go with another one in that franchise as opposed to maybe just rebooting the series altogether.
Thing,
yeah.
I mean, because it's just so bad. Like, it's so bad. Like, the last one was just so bad. I don't know if you've ever gotten a chance to watch it, Bobby, but it's not good.
No, I don't plan to. Someone would have to Clockwork Orange me in order for me to watch that movie.
Huh. Yeah, no, I still need it. When is Bumblebee coming on video? Like, it's got to be soon.
It's got to be. If Spider-Verse comes out on Blu-ray next week, and it already has been out on digital, and that came out 2-3 weeks before Bumblebee did in theaters, and it has to be, right around the same time for Aquaman as well.
Yeah, because Aquaman's already on digital, which kind of surprised me how quick that was. I was like, I logged into my Apple TV at one point, and I see it's already available. I'm like, oh my god, like that seemed really
that's
fast.
How I felt about Spider-Man. That's how I felt about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. When I saw that, I was like, wait, what? Like, I was like, I can watch that right now? And what's the other one? The Green Room, is it? The Green Bucket? The Green Book? The Green Book, yeah. That's one you can watch on digital as well. Right. Sorry, that was all over the place with that one. The Green Book, but you can watch that on video as well, and it's still in the theater.
Right. Yeah. No, I saw that too. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this episode. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can let us know what you think of the show by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can reach out to us on Instagram and Twitter at @Flicker_effect. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/FlickerEffect. And yeah, if you can always just stream or download these episodes directly on our website, or find us wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, and Google Play Music. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
And I'm Yasha Wilson.
Thanks for listening.